Hello and welcome to the second in a two-part series of editorial specials.
Wow.
In this one, we are going to be talking about the world-renowned Too Long magazine that we've started doing. Again, a bit like the last podcast we did, there are a fair few sort of questions in the air about Too Long. It sort of appeared out of nowhere and we just started demanding you buy it. And we thought we'd clear the air, we'd just sort of explain some of the finances behind it and then also some of the editorial decisions behind it. So with all that being said, I'm just going to pass over
to me. I'm going to assume everyone knows what Too Long is. It's not really worth over.
It's world renowned.
It's world renowned. So we're not going to go over that. I am going to start though by talking about the latest issue of Too Long that we've released, Too Long 5, which was our issue on the end of the American order. And I want to run through some stats on this issue and then some comparative stats versus other issues. Because I think a lot of people are curious as to kind of why we do it. I think that most people probably assume that it's like a profitable thing for us to do. Otherwise, seriously, why are we doing it?
Well, we do quite a lot of unprofitable things.
Well, that is also
as evidenced by our most recent how we make money or not make money video.
Yes, that is true. But we do make money from it. And that is one of the reasons we do it. But I'm going to run through some of the stats because I think people are curious as to like how this works. So the latest issue, we sold 7,112 copies as of the recording of this video, although it is still for sale and we do still have copies for sale in our office downstairs. So if you want more, but that's how many we've sold for now. Of those, 5,416 have been physical copies and 1,461 have been digital. There's then an additional 232 that have been sold after that count, but those are the broad numbers. About kind of a sixth of them digital and the rest physical, which I don't know if people will be surprised by.
I sort of intuitively thought digital would be higher, to be honest with you.
I think people really like the physical thing. I think having a physical thing to collect is nicer than a PDF. Not you should buy the digital one too if you want. It's like you get all the information and it is cheaper and you get it instantly. But I see the charm of the physical one, especially if you are trying to collect them all and whatever else. And I suppose also whenever we talk about it, we hold up the physical ones. We're really emphasizing the physicalness. So maybe people just aren't as aware of the digital version. Anyway, those 7,112 copies netted us total sales of £87,686.47 on Too Long 5, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty close to what some of our channels earn in a year. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Obviously that is sales and it costs us money to make it. So we spend £7,723 on production of like the time it takes to write and design it. More or less than you would have guessed.
Probably more if I didn't know the final sales figure.
True.
You see what I mean? I think that's reframed it. But I mean, it's a pretty good margin.
Yeah. We spent £5,723 on printing copies of Too Long 5. It was particularly expensive this time because it did so well. We had to keep doing reruns. So I think we're on our fourth rerun.
Which is more expensive than
if you do one big one, it's much cheaper. And then when you start ordering like another 1,000, it's like pretty expensive per copy. Then we spent another £1,036 on packing materials, on like envelopes and stuff. We spent £22,151 on posting it out to people, which brings the total cost to £36,814.08. Total profit then, so far, of £50,456.27. So just over 50 grand on this issue, which is pretty good too.
Which is really good actually, yeah.
Again, like that is genuinely a good chunk of money when you're multiplying that over kind of 3, maybe soon 4 times a year. That will like cover quite a lot of our costs. Like if you're looking at staff numbers or whatever else, like
in terms
that
of margin, I mean, it probably is the most profitable thing we do, right? It's slightly more profitable. I mean, you've got to think of it as, I always think of basically anything we do as business as downstream of the main videos, right? So it's sort of hard to extricate that, but it probably is.
I mean, the average thing we do doesn't make money. Like if you consider that like net our costs are higher than our revenues, that just means that most things are losing money. And pretty much there's not many other things. It's videos and podcasts. We know the podcasts are losing money. And the videos...
We're burning cash right now. If you could please offset this.
The videos, presumably, I mean, I have the data and I think this is just true. The average video loses money too, because if the company is losing money, then therefore, if Too Long is earning money, Everything else has to be losing money.
Well, I mean, that or podcasts are losing an equal amount
So
of
much
money.
money. It's not that.
Yeah. I sometimes, do you think it is, maybe the audience can tell us, is this a good sales tactic to basically just be like, we have lost so much money.
We're just wasting it.
Please.
We'll burn more money if you give it to us.
Please give us more money to waste.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to you. But
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, I hope it is.
it's honest.
Yeah, it is honest.
Um,
Please save our failing business.
Yeah.
It's a bit strong.
That's the title of this video.
Please.
Okay, the one last thing I want to do, because that's all the stuff on Too Long 5, which hopefully people are interested in, but the final bit of stats I want to run through is comparing Too Long 5 to the previous issues. We don't have good data on Too Long 1 because Too Long 1 was the newspaper that then we redesigned into a magazine, so it's kind of a bit messy, and also we used to use a different sales platform, and combining the data is just really difficult. So we're going to look at Too Longs 2, 3, 4 and 5. Too Long 2, we sold 4,600 copies. Too Long 3, we sold 4,600 copies. Too Long 4, we sold 4,900 copies. And as I said, Too Long 5, we sold 7,100 copies. So a huge increase this time round. And more impactful, the number of subscribers has also gone up quite dramatically. Too Long 2, we sold 2,300 copies to subscribers. Too Long 3, 2,800. Too Long 4, 3,500. And Too Long 5, 5,300. It's a huge increase. And as we said in our previous editorial special, which we didn't just record moments ago, and it's not fresh in our minds because of that, having those subscribers, we only have one outfit. Yeah. Having subscribers is so useful because it is a reliable revenue source. Even like YouTube, even the sponsors we have in videos aren't as reliable because you have a bad news week and your revenue goes down, and you have a number of bad news weeks, sponsors stop being less keen. So having a subscriber base that is coming directly from our audience and from a product we have total control over is so useful from a business perspective. So obviously making £50,000 off the most recent issue, great. But even greater is the fact that a good chunk of those, a majority of those, went to people that are also subscribers, because that means we have a reliable, reoccurring revenue source that when we make Too Long 6, Too Long 7, we will hopefully retain your trust and your interest and then be able to build on that and build the rest of the business up on that too.
That was one of the things I think I'm always most impressed by. I mean, sometimes we frame this as any purchase of Too Long as essentially a charity thing, but actually, the feedback on it is reliably really, really positive.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a selection bias at play there, but I do think that that sort of warms me slightly. I was always wary. We don't do magazines. I always think magazines are actually far harder to write than scripts, right? Because obviously, scripts are supposed to be a bit colloquial almost, and you can make a little bit of an error here or there, and it'll be papered over. But actually, so far, the response to the magazine has just been overwhelmingly positive. And we asked this question to people who buy it and who do the survey. Do you think the quality of writing was basically as good as you'd expect, better than you'd expect, or way better than you'd expect, or worse, or way worse? Yeah. And honestly, reliably, it is something astonishing. Like 98% of people think better, and I think a majority of those way better than expected.
And also a good number. We often ask like a comparative of if you bought previous copies, do you think it's getting better? And most people think it's getting better.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I honestly
not necessarily
thought
majority, but I think it's like 30%.
A plurality.
Yeah, 30% say about the same, and then the rest say some form of better.
This is just going to become a plug, isn't it?
It kind of has already.
Yeah, fair enough. But while we're sort of navel gazing, I do actually think that this was up, and this hasn't got any of the text in it. I actually think this was our best one. There are a couple of articles in there where I do think that the quality of analysis is just better than you'd expect. And this sounds arrogant and maybe grandiose, but I do think that in terms of quality of analysis, I think it competes with something like The Economist quite seriously, right? I do think, and I think we're helped by the cadence. We've done it once every 4 months, or maybe we moved to once every 3 months, and that means that we have a bit more space for those stories. But I honestly do think that some of the pieces in there were just as good as you could find anywhere else.
Well, right? I mean, the fact that we're about to have a meeting this afternoon, straight after this pretty much, about the next issue, and we're going to be discussing the topics, and we're going to be debating what goes in those articles and whatever else. And that issue's not coming out for months still. Well, a couple of months. So that is so much time and so much thought and effort and enthusiasm and interest from our team that goes into it. And not that isn't true of a video, but a video script has to be turned around in a day or so normally. So we are able to get much deeper, and I think that is reflected. And hopefully you agree it's a good product.
Yeah. With all these things, I think I'm more risk averse than you.
Yeah.
Right? And I was cautious about this for that exact reason. I thought, isn't it? We're risking putting stuff down on paper. You know what I mean? We can really call you out for it.
Sure.
And actually, so far I've been really impressed. And then not by the rest of everyone else. I think the quality of writing has been really pretty incredible.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So those are the main things we wanted to talk about with Too Long, I think. We wanted
support our failing business. This is the headline.
We mainly wanted to outline the numbers, I think. And there's a lot of curiosity in the comments of our videos, especially our How Teodio Makes Money video, or How Teodio Doesn't Make Money video, about why we do Too Long, what the numbers actually look like, to get a bit deeper. And hopefully, especially with the graphs that Scarlett's put on screen for you, you can see the changes there.
The last thing that I would say is that I think it's actually, it looks and it is hyper profitable, but in some sense, the reason that we can we don't spend that much time writing it, right, is because it's built off this pre-existing knowledge base that the writers have accumulated, right? And that's why I think, just to avert any suggestion that we're not spending that much time on it so we can sort of juice the profits. I think the reason the quality of writing is so good, despite the fact we don't spend that much time on it, right? It's not like a full-time job. Is just because I think that the collective knowledge base amongst the writers has got really, really great.
And also the fun thing with Too Long is that writers are often able to write more about topics they wish they could in videos, or go into more detail, or do a bigger overlook. Like quite often you see, like the story Nadja did about offshoring of refugees and everything else. That probably wouldn't work as a main video because it's too general. Like, what channel would that go on? It's like a really broad overview about trends and about the kind of like way that the electorate's views are changing, and politicians and legal stuff. And like, we have covered those things in a number of different videos, but we've never done that big overlook. It would never really work. And I think, as you say, that is something that Nadja wanted to do. She was interested to do. She pitched it hard, and it's a great piece. And I think those are the kinds of things that are, as you say, built up from weeks worth of cumulative knowledge from writing various scripts about various different asylum programs around the world that then get boiled down into like the most perfect form. And
on the other side, there are those like shorter ones, right? Because the word count is just lower, where like, the one I wrote about the energy, I don't know how much about energy, but the China US energy one, which is just kind of like a mini story in that you can draw a really fun parallel between the way that the US gained superpower status by leapfrogging Europe in energy, right? Because it moved from coal to oil first, basically. And you can see a sort of parallel emerging with China, and China sort of leapfrogging the US by moving to renewables and other sort of like abundancy source of energy before the US does. And obviously Trump's policies are sort of entrenching that trend.
Yeah.
But that you can't really write a video about that.
No, but you can write a 500-word article about it.
Exactly.
So I think that's answering your questions about Too Long. If you have any more questions about Too Long, put them in the comments and we might answer them in the Q&A section of a future episode. We will move to the Q&A section in a second. Quickly though, I know it has essentially turned into a plug already, but if you head to our store, toolong.news, you can pick up a copy of the latest issue, the next issue, the one that's coming out that we're about to discuss in a meeting, or any of the past issues. And whichever copy you order, if you use code STARMER, you'll get 20% off. And that's in addition to the subscription discount you'll get on the future issue if you subscribe. So 20% off with the code STARMER. Thank you very much. Okay, we got 5 minutes. Let's see how many questions we can get through.
Go on then. Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's a couple you're going to hate and a couple you're going to like.
I hate this. What is your favourite kind of soup? What's your favourite kind of soup?
I don't really like soup.
I like sounds so posh. I was going to say a bouillabaisse, like a French fish soup.
Oh, I don't know if I've had it.
I like fishy soups.
I like fishy soups. Yeah. I don't really like soups. Warm liquids aren't really my thing. I don't drink hot drinks.
You don't drink
I have
hot
a weird
drinks.
thing about warm liquids.
That's weird, actually.
Yeah, I just don't like the way it makes my mouth feel. I've said this before. It's the same as saunas. Saunas make my mouth feel warm in the same wet way, and I really don't like it. Anyway, I'm not a soup fan. People like this, though, Zach. In the last video, in the comments of the previous editorial, where we talked about Georgina being a DJ and Nadja liking metal, the comments are full of people absolutely loving Nadja about that. People like this. They like knowing I don't like soup. They're not going to
like that. You're talking about your clammy mouthfeel in the sauna. Are we going to see any other collabs with Too Long? The first issue had Johnny Harris. Could be cool again. So, the answer is yes. In the latest issue of Too Long, there is an interview with James Kerr-Lindsay, who sort of diehard politics YouTuber people might know. He does quite similar content to us.
He's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he's doing all right. And we have an interview with him about international law quite broadly. He's a bit of a Balkans expert, so it sort of ends up leaning that way. There's quite a lot of talk about Kosovo. But yeah, so we have on that, and I think we're going to make it a regular feature.
Yeah, we're interviewing someone each time, I think.
Yeah, and we're back. I mean, literally after this conversation, we're probably going to have a conversation internally about who we interview. But if you have anyone for the future we'd like to interview, that's a good idea. I would like that. We also, by the way, then release the interviews, the whole interview. So it's transcribed and sort of abridged in Too Long, but then we release the whole interview behind a paywall for Too Long
premium subscribers. Yeah. So if you want to listen to the entire James Kerr-Lindsay interview, which is long, it's like nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, it's the issue is I'm a wangler, and he won't mind me saying he's also a wangler, and we get going.
So if you want to listen to the full thing, that is Too Long. If you buy the premium edition, you'll get access to that alongside a whole bunch of other stuff you can find out on the website. But yeah, there's when we transcribe the full thing,
it's like 7,000 words.
7,000 words, and we cut it down to like 2,500. So the one in the magazine is fairly heavily abridged. Some of that I'm glad was abridged. Some of it is quite fun.
Yeah, we end up talking about PBS space time at the end.
I think that's a good bit.
Do you?
I think that was a fun bit.
I think it was quite sweet.
Of the wangling.
He's a dad, and I'm a dad, and so we're talking about. I don't. Well,
I'm not hurrying you on.
Whatever.
Pick a card.
If everything is a crisis, is anything a crisis? This is a very good question.
Presumably a dig at the fact that we use crisis in most thumbnails, it feels
well,
like.
I don't mind the word crisis. I mean, I think we cover things outside the norm, and normally bad things outside the norm because the viewership is just not that interested in really good things outside the norm, and bad things outside the norm can normally be fairly described as crisis. I would gently say that I just think on the channels as a whole, the word crisis just feels a bit overused.
Yeah.
And that's not even me sort of like succumbing to audience pressure. I just don't really like it at this point. So I quite like trying to find basically synonyms. Turmoil.
Yeah.
Rory's loving the word turmoil.
Rory does love turmoil.
Basically every video that has the word turmoil in it, it's a Rory video.
Skip the credits.
Also intensified. He's loving intensified.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his feud with Farage, intensifying. That was Rory. He decided on that title. And then Thailand's political turmoil, intensifying.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's in big on it.
Good keywords. Yeah, I take the point, but I think Zach's right. A lot of the time, you could fairly describe it as a crisis. And it's also just a nice, sharp, short word that fits in a thumbnail nicely.
We're always looking for one word that can sort of like encapsulate a bigger idea, right? Also, there's a lot of data suggests that viewers click on shorter titles, right? And so crisis, what is it, 6 letters?
Yeah, pretty quick.
It really gets it in there.
Okay, we got 43 seconds. We can do one more.
We're going to go one more. Go on. Could you make a team book recommendation list on Google Sheets? There's so many books on set, so I'm interested in what you read. I can answer this very, very quickly if you want. And we could do this. I have a couple of real favorite authors. I'm surprised no one's called me out on this. I copy almost all of my ideas. My entire brain.
You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't say this.
Yeah, I should. I'm going to say it. I think she deserves the credit. I'm a massive Helen Thompson fan. I think everyone knows I'm always talking about what Helen Thompson thinks. Yeah, if you want to feel smart, you should buy a Helen Thompson book. She most recent one was Disorder, which came out in 2022. It's very good. It aged incredibly. It's a fascinating book. You can read it over and over and over again. Yeah, I'm a massive Helen Thompson fan. I also big fan of, obviously, like everyone, Adam Tooze. We got a crashed book there. This guy James McDonald wrote this. When Globalization Fails, which is a good book for people who are a bit more historically inclined, and also wrote a book, A Free Nation Deep in Debt, which is about the rise of citizen creditors. He's very, very smart. And that, I think that's sort of a sufficient overview at the moment, but I'm a massive Helen Thompson fan.
I think the books around us are generally a reflection of stuff we've been reading. I think a lot of the time when someone buys a book on company money, Once the book is done, it returns and is put on whichever set the color scheme fits best for. Admittedly, some of the books are also just books we bought to fill out the set. Especially downstairs, we intentionally bought a number of books that fit the color scheme when we were redesigning the set. But I will say, both you and Ben have pulled books off the shelf that we bought for that reason and are now reading / have read them. So we're getting through them. The one thing I would say is we probably won't make a Google Sheets doc of book recommendations from the team, but in the first issue of Too Long we did have a book recommendation section, and in fact you recommended that book, the globalization one, in
Disorder?
that section, whichever one you just picked up.
Oh, I recommended that book. Yeah,
trade one.
When globalization fails.
Yeah, so we could bring that back in future. We could have like a little sidebar that's like 3 books we recommend each time.
The last person I'm going to say, one more person, I feel bad. I've just noticed him. I feel bad not mentioning him. There's a Václav Smil book over there. And I think for anyone who likes sort of data, anyone who wants to know about energy, Václav Smil is the guy.
And that's everyone. Who doesn't want to know about data energy?
Those books, the Václav Smil books, are the most information-dense tomes you can imagine.
You're really selling it.
If you want to fall asleep, reading about megajoules, get it. But incredible. I mean, encyclopedic. So you really got me started. I could definitely do a book. We could do a book club. That might work. I could do that. Is that an idea?
That's maybe an idea.
I think people would join.
If you'd like that, or if you'd like to see us do recommendations inside of Too Long, let us know and we may consider it. We may discuss it in our meeting.
I think a book club's quite a good idea.
Book club is cute.
I got a good force me to read even more books.
Okay. We'll discuss it.
But Helen Thompson is...
Helen Thompson.
Helen Thompson is the smartest human... I mean, maybe that's too much, but just incredible. Just an incredible analyst. Just the cut through it's just brilliant. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, got me started. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Helen Thompson, for all of my thoughts ever. And please support our failing business. Again, please, come on.
Code Starmer.
Yeah? What?
Code Starmer.
Code Starmer.
We haven't even got our own code. It's just the Starmageddon one we're using.